Cover a topic that isn't often talked about. I was going over some literature that I was using back in the 80s, and it's titled "Why Our Relationships Aren't as Good as They Should Be." Love is not enough to make a relationship work. We need to know how to make it work. Most of us were never taught how to make love work. We watched our parents' relationship and often learned unhealthy love habits, just as they watched their parents and learned unhealthy love habits. It's not our fault that our relationships aren't all we wish they would be. But number two, each of us has emotional programming, emotional, not physical. I want you to look at not child development, but emotional programming, right? Emotional programming from our past that prevents us from loving and being loved the way we deserve to be. Your emotional programming, your emotional way of thinking, is the sum of all the decisions you made as a child about yourself, about others, and about love. Now, I want you to listen to this chart. I'm going to show it, I'm going to put it up for a minute so you can get an idea of what I'm going to be talking about. Right? And it's talking about development of your emotional way of thinking, your emotional programming. So it goes like this. Your emotional, the development of your emotional programming. Now I'm going to go across like this. So stay with me and just think about the ages that I'm talking about. From birth, right, a baby, to 5 years old, you receive 50% of your emotional programming, of the energy that was around you, around your parents, about school, around everything. What was the energy, especially if you're in a minority, the negativity and all of that, and the arguing and the fighting? Just think about all that. From the time that you're a baby, you're picking all of this up until 5 years old. Then from 5 years old to 8 years old, you receive 30% more of your emotional way of thinking, your emotional programming. So by 8 years old, you have received 80% of your emotional way of thinking. From 8 to 18 years old, you receive 15% more of your emotional programming. 18 years old. By 18 years old, and I want you to hear this, by 18 years old, you have received 95% of your emotional way of thinking. By 18. How old are you now? But now I want you to listen to the most important point. It's the reasons why we can change. That leaves 5% that is able to learn, reevaluate, and make new choices to go back and change the other 95%. I can sit still, pray, meditate with God now. No matter what pain I went through, no matter what mistakes I made, and I can reevaluate and go back and change the other 95% of the way I was feeling emotionally. And I know for a fact, I felt so bad about myself, my emotional system was crashing. I just could not fight off infections or whatever because I didn't feel good about myself. Depression and anxiety, no language for that. So I know when I started putting positive affirmations into my life and feeling better about myself, from the time Muhammad Ali said, look at me, I've been fighting all these years, I got no scars on my face, I must be great. He was saying that for us, so we could feel good about ourselves. Calling yourself pretty wasn't a matter of ego, it was a matter of making yourself feel good because they told you was less than. You're less than, you're subhuman, you're black. The only way we can combat that is to grow some self-esteem, is to feel good about yourself. And that's why we need our heroes and we need to have all of these people. It's the same thing what's my man? Bruce Lee. They give, he's sitting here in Cato, he's sitting here going up for Kung Fu, and they gave it to David Carradine because of their racism with Asians. But you know what he did? He went to China and blew up. They weren't going to shut him down. He said, I'm going to teach this to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I'm going to teach it to who I want to teach it to. He had to fight for his right, but he didn't believe in that nonsense. He said, this is my way. What is your way? There is no the way. You have to find your way to find love. But there's some work you got to do. I got to go back and I got to clean up and I got to take what was positive from my parents and leave the negative out and put the positive affirmations in now from people like Les Brown, Michael Beckwith, and Maya Angelou. I put them into my life to go along with the things I've learned at home to make me have a better now. So I can uncover all of that stuff that I've been carrying from my childhood. It ain't gonna not go nowhere. We took pictures of it. You gotta work it out. One last thing. I find this very important. Each time that you get hurt or disappointed as a child, you put up an emotional wall around your heart to protect yourself from getting hurt again. That emotional wall traps the original energy of the pain, anger, or sadness inside of you. Those walls keep your love from getting out and other people's love from getting in. I'm fine. I'm okay. All masked over. When we gonna stop doing this? We're cheating other people of what we got to give away. I got to start removing them layers and layers. The woman I'm with now, I can do that with. She's a very loving person. I'm not going to get it from somebody who's been hurt and cut back like me and is looking for somebody to give him something. We can't give each other nothing, But now I'm with somebody who has that, and I can go to it and break those walls down and be safe when I get on the other side. I can't keep being around people who tell me to jump and then move their hands out the way just to teach me a lesson. I'm tired of that, man. That's not for me. I'm not doing that no more. But I also, got to work through the stuff that I learned that hurts other people. I can work that out. I can get rid of that. I can work on the man in the mirror and ask him to change his ways. This is long enough. I got my point across. 1.